silent.
Back when Eisenhower was the president, golf courses is where most of his time was spent. So I never really listened to what the president said, because in general I believed that the general was politically dead. But he always seemed to know when the muscles were about to be flexed, because I remember him saying something, mumbling something about a military-industrial complex.
As I have walked among the desperate, rejected, and angry young men, I have told them that Molotov cocktails and rifles would not solve their problems. I have tried to offer them my deepest compassion while maintaining my conviction that social change comes most meaningfully through nonviolent action. But they asked, and rightly so, what about Vietnam? They asked if our home nation wasn't using massive doses of violence to solve its problem, bring about the changes it wanted. Their questions hit home, and I knew that I could never again raise my voice against the violence of the oppressed in the ghettos without having first spoken clearly to the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today, my own government. For the sake of those boys, for the sake of this government, for the sake of the hundreds of thousands trembling under our violence, I cannot be silent.
Each one reach one, each one time.
I cannot be silent.
Nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something. Everyone must play a part. Everyone's got to go to work. Work for peace. Spirit said work.
I cannot be silent.
Empowering the body, mind, and spirit. This is We Cannot Be Silent with Phil Restino and Larry Pinkney.
I think we're live.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the February 8th edition of We Cannot Be Silent with Phil Restino and Larry Pinkney. And once again, we have the privilege to be part of the monthly international radio marathon on UnitedWeStrike.com. And the motto here is, don't buy, don't comply, ask why. And we ask folks to basically, at least one day a month, the 15th of the month if possible, to just check out from the system, man, unplug for a day. And it really is something to realize the power that we can give ourselves if we only use it and say no. But this is February 8th, 2014. We want to thank you all for tuning in and listening. And, of course, we want to thank the man behind all the knobs and dials, Gary Hendershot, for once again producing our show. Gary, are you there?
Oh, yeah, but I'm sitting here munching on my sandwich and sipping
great.
my adult beverage.
Okay, he's having his adult beverage. We know things are all right in the world. Well, with that, I'd like to introduce our co-host, Larry Pinkney. As many of you know, Larry is a columnist and associate editor and activist and got all kinds of things. But he does write a column for IntrepidReport.com, and I believe he's got a new one coming out this week. And for years he was Monday. Oh, great. So we're probably going to ask Larry, you know, what's new with Larry and what he's writing about this week. And so I think that's a good time to turn it over to Larry Pinkney. Larry, are you there?
Yes, indeed. And thanks so much, Phil. Also, Gary, thank you for all the incredible work that you do. And you know what? I think that it's really urgent that we know that or that we let our audience know, rather, that we really appreciate you all out there. You're very important to us. So, Phil, where are we going to go tonight? Or this evening? We just have a few minutes. So, what are we going to talk about?
Well, this is our chance for you and I to talk and catch up with each other and the audience as to what personally we're doing. And I know that you were very busy the past couple of months with the Free Lynn Stewart campaign and her husband Ralph Pointer, and we were lucky to have her and Ralph on our last 2-hour program last month. But I know you've been very busy with that, and you weren't writing as much, but now you've got the current column coming out Monday, and I just wanted to get your take on things as you see it right now. And we did talk before the show about James Corbett doing a great 12-minute broadcast on the Corbett Report eye-opener, Anti-War Goes AWOL, Divide and Conquer in Action, which featured you being interviewed by James in the past, and we'd like to talk a little bit about that. But first, let's hear what you're writing about first, Larry. You know, your most recent column, and maybe we could get back into the Corbett Report video after that.
Okay. Well, the column that'll be out in Intrepid Report, that's intrepidreport.com, on Monday. That column is going to be addressing Barack Obama's NSA, NDAA, drone man, that again, never cease, never stop. And it's also, in the article will be dealing with, or is dealing with, the fake left-right paradigm that's used to keep us on what I call the plantation, the Democrat and Republican Party plantation, because that's what it is. It's a plantation, and until we get off that plantation, we're basically just systemic slaves. It also is addressing the so-called black elite. That's those folks who run around here trying to equate drone man Obama to Dr. Martin Luther King, to Harriet Tubman, to real freedom fighters, real fighters for human rights. And basically the article is showing why that is absolutely nonsense, that Obama is a warmongering, NDAA signing, NSA supporting, basically fraud. But I won't even go there. Just read the article. I think you'll like it. It's Barack Obama's NSA, NDAA, police state society, or police state narrative is what I call it. Because by narrative, all I mean is we, everyday black, white, brown, red, and yellow people, had better darn well start telling our own stories and turn off ABC, NBC, CBS, PBS, Fox News. Turn them off. Turn them off. Let's be our own news. Let's be our own media. Let's connect with each other and make some real change. Get rid of this hope and a rope dope that we have, and make some real change. That's what the article's about.
Great. And that's what we're about here at UnitedWeStrike.com. Be our own answer. Unplug from this fraud that's being perpetrated on us. I hear on Joyce Riley and the Power Hour show, Larry, which you've been a repeating guest on in the past, where she says the way to win the game is to not play their game, and that's basically what UnitedWeStrike.com says. Don't buy, don't comply, ask why. Just don't go there, man. And there's a lot of good information on the UnitedWeStrike.com website. I'd like to mention on air, not just listen to the great programming that's on the monthly marathon, but please go to the site itself and take in there's all kinds of good information and links to radio programs from the other guests, that the other shows that are broadcast on the monthly marathon. But anyway, So we'll look for your article this week, Larry, coming out Monday on intrepidreport.com, Larry Pinkney. And, of course, I want to also mention to folks who don't already know this, Larry's entire body of work can be found at Black Activist WG, which stands for Writers Guild, blackactivistwg.org, and there you'll get not only Larry's columns from many, many years on blackcommentator.com, intrepidreport.com, but also other publications, as well as radio and television interviews. So please check that out as well and share it with others. But Larry, we were talking before the show, you and I, on the telephone about this Corbett report video that came out, James Corbett, and again, corbettreport.com, CORBETT report, REPORT.com. And the eye-opener broadcast is just 12 minutes long. Anti-war goes AWOL, Divide and Conquer in Action, published February 4, 2014. And if you'll indulge me, I'd like to read the narrative, the paragraph below the YouTube. After the election of Obama in 2008, the driving impetus of the anti-war movement evaporated. No longer did it matter that the wars, covert operations, military tribunals, and prison torture camps were continuing. In fact, it did not even matter that American military involvement escalated with the Obama handover, expanding into Pakistan and Yemen, involving more drone strikes and extrajudicial assassinations. This was, after all, a Democrat, and so many on the anti-war left were appeased. Groups like Veterans for Peace, which had so loudly and so admirably called for the impeachment of Bush for his participation in war crimes and atrocities, have been happy to look the other way while, quote, their guy in the White House forwards the very same agenda. And I'm so glad this hit both you and I out of nowhere, Larry, even though you're featured prominently in the video. This came out of the blue to us, and that's kind of encouraging, isn't it?
It is indeed, because that means the word is getting around, and more people are really taking action and spreading the word. So yeah, it did come out of the blue. We didn't know it was going to be done, but hey, sure, I'm glad that it was. Yeah.
And for folks who don't know, my connection to Larry is that I'm with Veterans for Peace myself and have been a chapter coordinator since 2005. And it was actually the other fellow featured in this video that Corbett Report put out, former president, national president of Veterans for Peace, Mike Ferner, a segment of that fiery speech he gave on 16 June 2005 in Washington, D.C., saying that not only is it our responsibility as citizens, but our sworn duty as veterans to impeach this criminal president. You know, and it'd go on and on and on. We're complicit in his crimes. We don't have the excuse of being good, good Americans by going along with it. You know, history demands that we do no less. And that was the speech, Larry, that I saw on the internet that got me to look up Veterans for Peace, join Veterans for Peace, and start our Central Florida chapter in 2005. And you and I came to meet each other in that after Obama took office in 2009, as this Corbett report mentions, the first thing he did was he bombed Pakistan with drones, right, which wasn't common practice at that point in time. It was really the camel's nose under the tent, if you would. Mm-hmm. And we had our chapter, which came to be because of that fiery speech Mike Ferner was giving on behalf of Veterans for Peace, that we had a fella in our chapter write the article, Impeach Obama, for those crimes, those very crimes cited in the calls for impeaching old Bush and impeaching Bush, not old Bush. Oh, whatever. Anyway, but I do want to also refer the listeners to Tom Santoni's article, Impeach Obama, from 2 February 2009, which was written in response to Obama's drone attacks on Pakistan, deadly drone attacks on Pakistan. And that can be found at globalresearch.ca. And the article is Impeach Obama by Tom Santoni. And please take a look at it and share it with others. We didn't think, Larry, at that time that there would be so much resistance from these righteous anti-war groups, such as Veterans for Peace and Code Pink and all that were David Swanson, Mr. Impeachment himself of AfterDowningStreet.org. I guess we were naive, and we thought that they would go with our slogan, war crimes are war crimes, prosecute Bush, impeach Obama. And we had to fight for up until the summer of 2011, when we finally got Veterans for Peace National to pass the resolution to impeach Obama for the same war crimes we cited in the call to impeach George Bush. And it was that time in the summer of 2011, Larry, when you put out that article on the Black Commentator, is it time to impeach Barack Obama, ? And then your article just made the case up and down, left and right. Yes, it was. And you made the case based on the very same crimes cited in the calls for impeaching Bush.
Right.
It was a fellow Veterans for Peace who told me about you and your article. I looked you up, and then I said, man, not only is this guy making the case, it's coming from the left, and not only is it coming from the left, it's coming from the black left. And not only is it coming from the black left, this guy's a member of a veteran of the original Black Panther Party. You can't get any more black than that. And in the true sense of the word, by what you mean by being black, Larry. And a big part of the resistance we were getting was this false charge of being racist by calling for impeaching Obama as the black president. So I know that's a mouthful. I did want to share how you and I came to be with the audience, and that's a good time to pass it off to you and see how you think about it right now.
Well, the good thing is that more and more people are awakening, be they black, white, brown, red, or yellow. You're absolutely right. The resistance that we receive and have still been receiving from the leadership, and I emphasize leadership, or really I should use the term misleadership, of these so-called progressive, so-called left organizations who so vigorously called for the impeachment, if you will, of G.W. Bush for war crimes. The incredible hypocrisy of these so-called progressives and so-called leftist organizations when it came to a Democrat being in the White House is very, very clear. It's very obvious, and most importantly, it's really unacceptable. And those folks who may try and say, well, you're just being racist. You just don't like him because he's black. Excuse me, I am a veteran of the Black Panther Party, the original Black Panther Party, and I wish you were black, because black refers to more than color. It refers to a frame of mind in terms of struggle. My God, I know some people who are not black biologically who are blacker than Obama. So let's just put all that nonsense aside, and let's think in terms not of color, but let's think in terms of integrity, of, as Dr. Martin Luther King said, the content of character versus the color of skin. And when we look at the content of the character of the Barack Obama regime, all we can really say is, oh, bummer. My God, this character has expanded the despicable policies of G.W. Bush and and gone way. I mean, he's Bush on steroids. He really is. Look at the NSA, the NDAA, the kill list. It just goes on and on and on. We've got to take a stand, and we've got to take it a principled stand. Okay, right is right, wrong is wrong, no matter who says it or who does it. And those are the words of Malcolm X. So It's very simple. It's not complicated. That's what I have to say.
Well, thank you, Larry, and I do also want to mention that to the audience that the column you wrote for many years on the Black Commentator, the title of the column was "Keeping It Real,"
right,
with Larry Pinkney, and that's what it's all about, folks, being real. And but here we are all these years later, and people are waking up and they're figuring out the left-right paradigm, and they're saying, yeah, Obama's just as much a war criminal, in fact, even more. But they're still not passing the litmus test, Larry, those on the left. The litmus test is this, and we could get on YouTube and type in all these people that were at the podium in front of a microphone: Medea Benjamin, David Swanson, Chris Hedges, all these people that were adamantly calling for the impeachment of George Bush for war crimes. And so many of them are covering their rear ends, saying, Obama's just as much a war criminal, if not more, over the past 5 years. But have yet to say the same thing at the microphone in front of an audience. Impeach Obama for these war crimes. And until they do so, they're a bunch of hot air. And it's because they haven't done so over the past 5 years that has provided Obama the left cover necessary to get away with what he's doing and take this tyranny and this oh my God, this murder.
And the fact is, Phil, they know it. They know that these are not stupid or ignorant people, all right? The names that you mentioned, Chris Hedges and Medea Benjamin and David Swanson and the list goes on and on. They know what they're doing. They know they're trying to speak like Obama out of both sides of their mouth. Either you stand for what's right, to do the right thing, or you don't. There is no in between. That's why another reason I say that this left-right paradigm is ridiculous. But so they know what they're doing. They know that they are providing political cover for Obama. Okay, and particularly from the so-called left and so-called progressives, and that's unacceptable. It's bloody hypocrisy. That's what it is.
Guys, I hate like the devil to get, to button in here, right when you guys are on a roll. I wish I could just let you go for about another half hour, 45 minutes, because it sounds to me like Larry's starting to get wound up now. And he's kind of like the ever-ready bunny, and I know he's got a hell of a lot more to say, but, we're coming up to the last minute and a half here, and I do want you guys to do a little bit of that blatant self-promotion that is also important. Where can folks find out more about what you're involved with and what you're into?
Go ahead, Larry.
Well, very quickly with me, you can go to blackactivistwg.org, Black Activist Writers Guilds, what the WG stands for. And you can see my articles, interviews, blah, 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 all of that up to the present, all the way back to 1968. You can also go to, and please do, check out Intrepid Report, which I am an associate editor at Intrepid Report, intrepidreport.com. Check it out. There are also other great writers on Intrepid Report. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Larry. I'd like to say, everybody listening, start calling for the impeachment of Obama for these war crimes. It's our as Mike Ferner said, it's our responsibility as citizens and our sworn duty as veterans or anyone else who's sworn an oath to the Constitution to do no less. Call for it. Publicly call for it. There is a resolution that was passed by Veterans for Peace, veteransforpeace.org. Find your local chapter there wherever you are and get on them. Said, hey, you guys passed this resolution to call for Obama's impeachment for war crimes. How do I sign up? Give me a sign. Let's do it. Get them moving. Make them walk the walk. But we have to call for it. Left, right, Republican, Democrat, whatever you are, we're all responsible, and it begins with us calling for it. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. I'll tell you, we squeezed every second out of that when we could, so I'm going to have to take us out with a bumper. Here we go.